morning, guys. So I wanted to start out today's video by giving you an update on the Juice Beauty Green Apple Peel in the Sensitive. So I filmed my first impressions on that product at the end of February, and we are now nearing the end of March. And since that video, I have been consistently using that peel twice a week, and I'm really happy to report that it really has done a number on lightening up my hyperpigmentation marks. I'm sure many of you guys already know because I talk about this all the time. The right part of my cheek is the biggest problem area for me in terms of hyperpigmentation. As you can see, there's still some discoloration here. But everywhere else, when I break out, it doesn't bother me as much. Like, I have some marks on my forehead right now, and they usually go away a lot faster. And this side of my cheek has never been a problem for me either, but for whatever reason, whenever I break out here, things just tend to linger. So I have been paying close attention to this part of my cheek as I've been testing out the Juice Beauty, and I'm genuinely surprised and so pleased at how different this side has been looking for me for the past 3 weeks. I will say though, if you do use that peel on acne, like my chin, I still have some breakouts, it doesn't do anything for that. And I don't think the product claims to do anything for active breakouts, but it does claim to fade hyperpigmentation, and for me, it's working. I'm really crossing my fingers that it doesn't just stop working, and that with even more continued use, I will eventually not see anything on this side. I'm hoping. So last month I also filmed my updated skincare routine, the winter version of it, and in that video I was using Cetaphil's gentle cleansing bar, and I just had the tiniest little sliver left. And since then I have been looking for a cleaner alternative. After doing a ton of research, I finally pulled the trigger, and I ordered this cream cleanser from Mad Hippie. It looks like this. This is 4 fluid ounces, and this cream cleanser is made with jojoba, green tea, macadamia oil, and orchid extract. I have been using this day and night for a week now. This product is really creamy, really gentle. It hasn't done much in terms of getting rid of any breakouts on my face, but that's not what I expect from a cleanser. I just needed to not irritate my skin, and I want it to be clean. Those are just my two requirements. And I also needed to not strip my skin, which this obviously doesn't do because it's so creamy. I do want to add though that I feel like this may be a little bit too rich for me once it starts getting really humid and hot in Korea, and I know that it will. So I did order another cleanser. I ordered the Juice Beauty Blemish Clearing Cleanser, and I kind of want to rotate those two and maybe even use this very sparingly once it gets hot. So I'll give you an update on that once I test that out for a little bit. So far, so good with this. I've also been testing out a green mascara. This is the Lily Lola one. I think this is like a cult favorite in the green beauty world. I'll talk about this when it's time to do my eyes, but yeah, I've been using this for a week now, and I wanted to talk about it last week, but it just felt so random to throw that in there while, I was talking about the whole boundaries thing last week, because that entire video was just about boundaries, and I don't know, I kind of felt weird just being like, oh, by the way, this is my new mascara. So I'm saving it for today's chat. Oh, I had a beauty product question for you guys. So I'm almost done with this Honest Beauty Tinted Moisturizer. This has been my holy grail base makeup since I bought this in November. And I've only used the RMS Uncover Up a handful of times in between, but this has been my main squeeze. There's a part of me that wants to repurchase it just because I love it so much. And then there's another part of me that wants to try something new and something a little even lighter than this in the summer. Actually, this isn't even that light. It's a tinted moisturizer, but it really acts like a foundation. I feel like my skin's doing okay, and if I can get away with just using a very sheer, almost like a MAC face and body kind of product, I'd like to switch to that for the summer. If you guys have been to Korea, you know how gross the summers here gets, where it's just everything just feels like it's melting off your face. And I've been thinking about trying Glossier, but a lot of the reviews that I've watched and read are all from like bloggers or YouTubers that have been sponsored or sent those products. And while I do trust some of them, because some of them come from YouTubers that I really enjoy watching, I was wondering if any of you guys out there have any personal experience with using Glossier, mainly their Perfecting Skin tint. It's like this super liquidy tint basically. It's very runny and it doesn't provide much coverage, or so I've read, and it's just supposed to kind of just blur your skin and make you feel like you're not wearing any foundation. And I believe Glossier even sells it as skincare and not as makeup. So if you guys have any experience with Glossier, I'd love to hear from you, because I don't personally know anyone that's tried their Perfecting Skin tint or actually any of their products. One of my friends is coming to Korea at the end of April, so I am thinking of ordering a few things to her so that she can bring it over for me, but just wanted to check with you. So I also wanted to give you guys an update on me personally exercising some of the things that I've learned from the Boundaries book. And in last week's chat, I mentioned how I have to actually say goodbye to one of my clients. So for those of you guys that don't know this about me, I am a licensed elementary school teacher, and I don't work at a school. I only take private clients, and I also take adult students as well, but that's more for conversational English and less like curriculum based. So the client that I was talking about last week, I have been teaching her child for, gosh, has it been like 2 or 3 months? So my plan was, and still is, to finish up with this student by the end of March. And I wanted to give, the courtesy 2-week notice of letting her mom know that I will be parting ways with them. So yesterday I got into contact with the student's mom and I let her know. And normally what I would have done is I would have apologized profusely and then felt bad. I don't know, I feel like the way that I would have delivered my message about not being able to work with them anymore, I would have explained myself a lot, in terms of, hey, this is going to be my new schedule, and I have this and this going on, and just offering a lot of information that one is not asked for. And one of the big reasons that I am walking away from this gig is because of the relationship or lack thereof. For me, when I teach my students, it's really crucial for me to have an open relationship with the students' parents. I want them to know exactly what it is that I'm doing, my teaching philosophy, like what I'm about, but with the experience that I've gained and my values and the things that I want to offer, like I really want the people that I work with to be really involved. I want to make it very clear why I should be teaching their child instead of just anyone else. There's so many English teachers in Korea. In this situation, I felt like I was just kind of selling myself to someone who didn't really want to get to know me, and at the same time was just kind of looking for a bargain. I don't want to go into too much detail with it, but I know at the end of the day that her child really enjoyed spending time with me to the point where she'd want to cancel other extracurricular activities because she'd rather spend time with me. And I thought eventually that would be enough, of a motivation for her to keep investing in me, but I wasn't getting that. She kept taking from me in a way where her demands were very high for things that I wasn't willing to offer, but then the things that I wanted to offer, she wasn't very interested or open to. So long story short, I said my piece. I didn't apologize, and I feel great. So in my second example, different client, I also got to exercise my boundaries in a different way. Oh man, okay, sorry, my laundry is done, be right back. So as a teacher, I am a huge believer of, having my students really enjoy the learning experience. I'm not about rote memorization or giving them a ton of homework and quizzes and, the stuff that if you are a Korean or Korean American, I'm sure you understand because I'm sure a lot of you guys have grown up, you know, the way that I have, in terms of like having to go to academies and, you know, just doing all these extracurricular things. So what I'm doing is just moving away from the system and just giving students the tools to enjoy learning, be open to making mistakes, failing, and learning from that, right? And that's something that, as a grown-up, because of my academy hagwon background and, you know, this burden I had of not wanting to disappoint my parents, I didn't grow up with that. I grew up very, very fearful. And you guys already know that about me. If you have been watching my dance video series, I'm terrified. I'm still terrified. So I'd like to do what I can to give, you know, our future generation the courage to just go out there and be bold and try stuff, you know? Back to one of my current students right now. Her mom the other day asked me to start doing more hagwon-like stuff, like more academy-like stuff, in terms of, you know, in the books that we're reading, she wanted me to start picking out vocabulary so that by the end of the week I can give her a test on 20 vocabulary words. And, you know, I understand her intention there, because she wants to make sure that her daughter is comprehending what she's reading. I totally get that. But one of the reasons that I agreed to taking on the student was when I was meeting the family for the first time. I was talking to the father, and he'd spent some time in the States, and he was sharing how when he grew up, he hated reading. And, you know, as an adult, his childhood, you know, that part of his childhood carried on with him, and even to this day he's just not really into it. So his goal, when I asked him about, you know, what are your goals for your child, and he said, when she's older, I want her to pick up a book just for pure enjoyment, you know, not because school's making her read something, but, you know, he wants reading to become just a hobby of hers. And I loved that. I was so happy to hear that, because, you know, there are many parents, especially with how competitive and how crazy the education system in Korea is, that a lot of them will say, I just need my kid to do well on standardized tests and get into the best schools and work in a corporate environment, etc. So when I heard something from him that I usually don't hear from other parents, I was so excited about that. And, you know, I was really pumped to be able to pick out books that she would enjoy, that we could really, you know, dive into and discuss. And it's like being in a book club, you know. By the way, this is the Lily Lolo mascara. Again, I'm trying to talk about this in the middle of my boundaries thing, but it's okay. It's a little bit clumpier. Then here's the wand comparison. The maroon handle, this is like my go-to mascara, as you guys can see, and then the Lily Lolo is right here, and it is very, very thick. It's not the most accommodating to shorter lashes like mine, but I also found that it doesn't really smudge on me, and it doesn't weigh my lashes down too much. So I'm still figuring out how to use this wand. Okay. So, sorry, back to my story. Yeah, it's like being in a book club, you know, and me being able to read old childhood favorites and, you know, sharing stories about what it was like for me reading this at her, you know, that student's age, and I loved it. My student's mom, she's also grown up in the Korean education system, and she shared this with me too, that sometimes her and her husband, they butt heads because he has studied in the States where she hasn't, and, you know, they have differing opinions on certain things. So she asked me to do this on Friday, and, you know, honestly, it's an easy job for me. Like, I can just read through the book, pick out some words, and like slap a quiz together. Like that was not the problem. And I didn't want her to think that I don't want to do this because it's extra work for me. But after hearing what she had to say, like, I had to politely decline her request. And, you know, I shared why I don't think that that's going to help her enjoy reading. That's not to say that we just skip over, hard words when we don't know. Instead, I'm teaching her the skills. Like, what do you do when you come across the word you don't know? We've been exercising, using context clues or reading the sentences around it to see if we can make sense of the word, or learning how to use a dictionary. And it's really sad because a lot of students these days, they haven't had the interaction with an actual dictionary, because you don't have to, you can just Google everything or look on the dictionary app. So that's been really interesting too. When I talk about dictionaries or thesauruses, a lot of them will be like, what? I know, it's so strange, right? Because we grew up with those. So at the end of that conversation, I told her, like, hey, I want to teach her how to find the answers, and I want to give her the skills so that even when I'm not around, or if a teacher's not around, I think developing that curiosity at a young age so that they will be open to, seeking, that's so much more important than learning 100 words by the time you're in 5th grade or something. So I said no, and I was very uncomfortable, but when I walked away from it, I was really proud of myself. And it was cool because the next day she even texted me and was like, hey, please don't worry about what I asked you. Do your thing. This whole boundaries thing has opened up a whole new world for me. And I'm able to do it in a way where I don't feel mean after. After I've uploaded last week's morning chat, that night I ended up buying Boundaries with Kids on my Kindle, and I'm almost done with it. I think I have an hour left on the book. I'm so excited to just keep applying all of these principles in my life, and it's really exciting for me to be able to share that and to teach that so that these kids get to grow up with something that I wish I had when I was growing up. Yeah. Lately I've been feeling like God's really preparing me for something big. I mean, for sure, parenting, right? I think I'm so happy that I am learning these things before I have any children. It's really helping me in my dancing with fear journey. I'm very thankful for this growth. I know the whole process isn't going to be smooth sailing, and I'm sure at some point I'll have a story to share with you guys where, I try to place my boundaries and I am not well received. So get ready for that one. Alright guys, I'm gonna leave you with a tiny bit of a teaser before I end this video. Last week when I went to dance, they were actually filming a legit 1 Million Dance Studio video in my class, and my teacher told me to do it, to be a part of it, and I went up, and then they switched out all the lights, and then I just started sweating. I was red, and then I thought about me being in one of their videos on their channel, and then I freaked out and I ran away and I sat down with the rest of the audience. But it was cool because I almost did it. I actually got up there with the other dancers. But anyway, the rest of that I'll probably share in my next Dance with Fear video, whenever that may be. Still fearful, obviously. Okay, my friend. Please let me know how you're doing. I know quite a number of you said you were thinking of picking up the book. So if you have started the book Boundaries, please let me know below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, have a good week.